Hello, hello. I hope you are well and looking forward to a yoga and meditation practice today. If you are ready, please feel free to add an emoji to the chat. You will see me with my smiley face greeting you for our complimentary practice today. I hope you all had an amazing Thanksgiving holiday, ate lots of yummy, 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 yummy food, and are ready to relax and unwind with a yoga practice today. So our yoga practice is going to be a way to hit all of the stretches that you might need. So if you're feeling cramped or like you need to open up, this practice is for you. You will need a few supplies, but don't worry, I'm going to give you options that you for sure have somewhere where wherever you are, be that your house or out and about. So if you do have your selection of yoga props, you can see my massive yoga props over there. Then what you will need is some form of strap. And if you don't have a strap, what you can use instead is a durable, trusty scarf. So this is one of my winter scarves that I use whenever I need a strap and I don't have one. You might also want one or two yoga blocks. I have two yoga blocks, so I'm going to use both, but you might use one if you only have one yoga block. And then if you don't have any yoga blocks, don't worry. You can use this here or any book that you use. It should be a big book, something that you would use to deck out your little brother. No, just kidding. It should be sturdy. You want something that has a few inches for the binding and hopefully is hardcover as well, so that way you can step on it and put it binding side down to use as a brace as well. And then, of course, if you are like me, you might also want a blanket for your knees. So that way your knees don't say ouch at you. So I'm going to go ahead and put my blanket down on my mat, and that'll give you a few extra moments to get any supplies that you need. All right. Welcome to our complimentary yoga and meditation sessions. I am so glad that you are joining us today. Please feel free to add your emojis to the chat. You can access this video through the group page or through the event page. I see that there are a few people watching and ready to go. That makes me so happy. All right, let's be thankful together. Step onto your mat and find a comfortable seat. I'm going to double check to make sure that hopefully you'll be able to see me if I'm on my mat. Okay, there we go. You can sit any way that you need to sit. You might cross your legs. You might sit with knees together on your feet. You might find a pillow or a bolster to sit on. You could use a chair or you could stand. Any of those options are available for you. Choose the one that suits your body the best, and let's begin with some meditation. Close your eyes and tune in to the flow of your breath. Notice your inhale and your exhale. You might tune in to the natural sensation of your heartbeat, the feel of your clothing, or the temperature in the room. This time is for you to land on your mat. Big breath in, and then a full breath out. You can allow your eyes to open, or you can keep your eyes closed. Begin to rub your palms. Notice the warmth that you naturally create, the sound of your hands. And then you're going to take your warm hands, place them on the tip tops of your shoulders. Begin to massage the tops of your shoulders and neck, reaching the crown of your head up, 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 up towards the ceiling. Drawing the shoulders down and the elbows down, providing a little bit of a massage and traction on the upper shoulders and neck. And then from here, let's shake, shake, shake out our hands. Turn your palms up, and then you're going to bring one hand on top of the other. Press the heel of the hand forward. Now with this stretch, we're stretching the forearm muscles. Allow a little bit of bend in the elbow. You don't want to collapse into the wrist or the elbow. Instead, press the hands together as you reach the heel of the hand forward to create an active stretch. And we'll switch to the other side. Especially if you have joints that might tell you ouch a lot or you have a lot of mobility, actively resisting the stretches can help you develop a little bit of a deeper stretch. For example, this is not the limit of the stretch. For my forearms, I could extend into my elbow and pull my arm down, but I'm actually feeling more of a stretch here by dynamically resisting it. And shake, shake, shake out your hands. Reach both arms up towards the ceiling. Big stretch, big breath in. And then we're going to take one arm, bring one hand to the top of the head, the other arm reaches out and down as you arc into a stretch, lifting one side of the jaw. So feel free to hang out here. If you're confused and you need to see that again, you're going to reach up. And then one hand to the top of the head, the other arm arcs out and down as you open up into a stretch. Gently return back to center. Reach both arms up. Long, long spine. Sit as tall as you can. And then we'll find the stretch on the other side. Return back to center. Bring the hands to the shoulders. Reach the shoulders up. And then relax the shoulders back and down. And you can move through your shoulder circles at your own pace. Hopefully your shoulders are feeling a little bit warmer. Feel free to reach the arms out to the side and continue with some shoulder circles. I like to just do the opening circles, so reaching the arms forward and then up and then back and then down, opening through the chest muscles and the shoulders. But if you want to try the other side, the rolling forward of the shoulders, you have time to do that now. I just find since we spend so much time collapsed forward with those forward shoulder circles, we're just repeating something that we move through a lot throughout the rest of our day, whereas the opening circles can kind of balance the rest of the day. Shoulders up, 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 up by the ears, and then drop, drop, drop the shoulders down. We'll do that 2 more times. Big breath in. And full breath out to drop, drop, drop the shoulders down. And one more time. Okay, so this will be a little bit of a different flow than the usual classes that I teach because I want to hit all of our stretches in a much more regimented kind of way. I say using supplies that I use with elementary schoolers. Okay, so I have my handy dandy timers here. So these are sand timers. I love to use them in my own yoga practice, and I wanted to introduce them to you today. So we'll have 1 minute, 3 minute, and 5 minute stretches for different parts of the body. I love this because you can use these in your yoga practice without having to use your phone because so many people are always on their phones, so many screens, and I don't know about you, but there are text messages and funny like kitten gifs and puppies that want to sit in buckets and all of these things on the phone. And it's so easy to get distracted on my mat when my phone is on my mat with me. So that's why I opted for these timers, and we're gonna use them today during practice. So we've warmed up a lot through the neck and the shoulders, but we're actually gonna start at the bottom of the body. So we're gonna start with the feet for the main bulk of our practice. So I want you to take one of your feet and then you're going to bring it up. And we're gonna start with some gentle movements for the ankle. So opposite hand to opposite foot, and then start to roll the ankle in big, big, big circles. And you might notice parts of your ankle that feel more stuck and give those more TLC. And you might notice parts of the movement of your ankle that feels super open and maybe not push into those as much. And then start to point and flex your foot. Bless you, person upstairs. And then wiggle it around, shake it out, shake it out. And we're gonna head on over to the other foot. Opposite hand to opposite foot. Start to make really big circles with those ankles. And again, cultivating balance, but if you're not feeling any pain, don't worry. So don't hold yourself back unnecessarily. Enjoy your stretches, enjoy your movements. Start to point and flex your foot. And shake, shake, shake it out. So throughout practice, we're going to do one side and then the other. You can start with whatever side you want to start with. If you're used to always starting with your right, you might start with your left just to see what that feels like. And just make sure you hit both sides. Okay, so stand on up, and you're going to need your book or your yoga block. And I'll adjust the camera a little bit. We're going to start with a calf stretch. So place your book or your block down on the ground, and then you're going to put one foot up on the block and stretch into your calf. So with this stretch, depending on your calves, you might need different things. So for example, I have really tight calves and a fair amount of balance. So for me, this is enough of a stretch. I can feel a stretch in my calf. So I'm going to hang out here. But maybe you need more support. So you might bring your block against a wall and hold a wall if you're someone that needs a little bit more support with their balance. And then find a decent stretch where you're feeling a stretch in your calf, but you're not dumping into your knee joint. So if you're someone that has really stretchy calves, then what you'll need is a larger height difference, and then you might stand up on both of your blocks and then stretch down into your calf stretch that way. That way you're using more of gravity, and you're also able to get a more extreme angle with the ankle. Okay, so hopefully everyone can find a stretch that works well for them. I am going to flip our timer. We're going to do 1 minute on the first side, then we'll try 1 minute on the second side. Starting in 3, 2, 1, and start your stretch. Throughout your stretch, tune into the flow of your breath. Feel the inhale and the exhale, and see if there's anything else that you can relax while you stretch. Maybe you let your shoulders move down and away from your ears. Maybe you bring a softness into your face or into your belly. And let's switch to the other side. Starting the other side in 3, 2, 1, and stretch. Fantastic. Shake out your feet if you want to shake out your feet. So from here, we're going to stretch both calves at the same time. So you will need your large book, and you can turn it lengthwise, like so. Or you can use, I'm going to use the book. Or you can use your blocks. I'm going to put the balls of my feet up onto the book. And if you have bendy calves, your heels might come on down to the ground, which is awesome. Mine don't, which is also cool. And you can modulate how much of a stretch by changing the height of the book. And again, you have that support option where you're using a chair or a wall to lean against, so that way you don't feel like you have to balance out in space. Let's do 1 more minute for both calves. Starting in position. 3, 2, 1, stretch. So if you're watching and you're used to a flow class, you might notice that your mind is a little bit uh, noisy when you're doing this sort of practice instead of a flowing practice. So that's something that you can feel free to work into your personal practice with certain poses, challenging your mind to maintain that stillness without the kind of pursuit of certain poses or the pace of certain flow classes. All right, release out of your stretch. Next, we are going to do our forward fold for our calves still, but mostly working up into the hamstrings. So you might use your book as a way to support yourself in your forward fold. So maybe you're someone that can't that shouldn't bend their back. You can use strong core and a flat back to hinge forward from the hips, and then you can place your hands on your book or on a chair to support yourself. That way you can still find a hamstring stretch without any stretch in the back. And if you do want to fold forward and find more of a rag doll, you can let the knees bend and the arms straight forward, shake out the head, and let the head relax. And then you have other options as well, using your book or your block to support you in more of a hamstring stretch. And then if it's possible and you want to stretch with the hands down on the ground, you can try that. Hands can be down in front of the feet. They could also wrap behind the ankles, and you could bend the elbows, bringing the head towards the knees. What you are looking for is a stretch for you that's challenging and also provides enough space for your breath. I don't want you to feel like you're stuck there and you don't have enough space to inhale and exhale. So make sure that you're able to breathe in fully and breathe out fully, and that you are feeling a stretch in your hamstrings, because that's the point. You don't want to feel any pain or strain in the low back. If you do, bring the belly in, engaging the core muscles, and lift up out of the stretch a little bit, and hopefully that will take away the twinge that you might feel in your low back. All right, everyone feel like they have somewhere to go? We're going to be there for 3 minutes. Okay, I'm going to get my orange timer. Starting in 3, 2, 1. Allow your knees to bend if they are not already bent. Slowly roll on up, giving the body time to adjust. Awesome. So we have stretched our calves and we have stretched the hamstrings. Let's stretch the front of the thighs or our quads. We're going to do 1 minute on the first side and 1 minute on the second side. And you will need your strap or your scarf. So if you're using a yoga strap, you might use it like so, or create a loop for your foot. I'm going to show with a scarf, just in case that someone is using a scarf at home. You'll create a loop for your foot and stretch. Ah! Lost my balance. You might lose your balance too, and that's why we have walls that we can use for support. So if you can grab your ankle, you might grab your ankle and not use a strap or a scarf. So if that's something that you want to do, you can also do that. I just hope that you can reach your ankle by also keeping your core engaged. If you have to do some wonky business to try and hold your ankle, that might put too much stress on your spine. So try and bring the core in and find a stretch in the front of your thigh that makes sense for you and your body today, not what you wish it could do. Okay? So hopefully everyone has a place where they can go. Another option is if you have a chair in your space or a bench, you can rest your shin up on the chair or the bench. So that's also an option. Okay. 1 minute timer. Starting in 3, 2, 1. Stretch. Sometimes we conflate the idea of yoga with big extreme poses like back bends or headstands and all of that fun stuff. But the real yoga is in the breath. So being able to bring your mind to your breath, watching the breath in the pose, in the container of your body and how it moves in the stretch. So if you're looking for a more dynamic challenge, see if you can close your eyes and bring your attention to the breath itself as it enters and leaves the body for as long as you possibly can in a stretch. Okay, let's switch to the other side. You'll notice that as your practice develops and grows, that you're able to maintain that concentration and focus for a longer period of time, and that the stretches that you find in your body feel less forced and less driven by having to try and reach like a certain stretch, and more of a tool that you use to be able to offer your body the kindness that it needs. Remember, wherever you are today, be thankful that your body is allowing you to do what you can do today, whatever that might be. That's a gift and is something that your body gives to you. Awesome. Feel free to release your foot. For our next stretch, I'm going to give you a lot of different options. So our next stretch is going to be a front line of the body stretch that you can modulate depending on what you need today. So option one, I'm going to remove my blanket so I don't accidentally slip on it. Option one is going to be a high lunge with a relatively short stance. So you can use a wall or a chair to help brace your balance. Your feet are going to be about hips width apart, toes pointed forward. And this stretch you'll feel along the front part of your back leg. So you might feel it in the quad and also in the front of the hip. You might feel a little stretch in the front of the belly. And then if you press back through your heel, you might also get a little bit of a yummy calf stretch as well. I'm not going to be particular about what you do with your foot. You can squeeze and engage the calf to open up more into the front of the hip, engaging the glute and pressing the calf to contract, or you can press back through your heel, grounding the heel potentially to your warrior one if you want to do warrior one instead of lunge. If you want a deeper lunge, you can do that by widening your stance. And then you might also bring the knee down to the ground, bringing a blanket underneath the knee. And then if you would like, you could bring opposite hand to the front foot down to the ground and reach around for the foot. Whatever you choose, make sure that you choose something where your knee is happy and that you can hold for 3 minutes because we're going to be there for 3 minutes. Okay? Everybody has somewhere they can go. I'm going to show you the most conservative option. Toes are going to point forward. Comfy stance for my lunge. I don't feel overextended. I'm going to press back with my heel for a more grounding posture instead of a more activating posture. Starting in 3, 2, 1, go. If you did choose the knee down option for your lunge or the flying dragon, where you reach back and you grab the opposite foot with the opposite hand, make sure you can still breathe in fully and exhale fully, and that your low back is happy with you. You don't feel any pain or strain in the low back, or if you're in that flying dragon, you don't feel any pain or strain in the opening shoulder. Oh, goodness. We'll be here for 3 minutes. I grabbed the 1 minute timer, so I'm just going to flip it 3 times. So lunges are very useful for many different types of practitioners. If you're older, you might find lunges useful because practicing your lunges helps reduce fall risk. It increases balance and increases the strength of the legs. If you're a runner or an athlete, you might find lunge stretches help improve your stride or help reduce risk of injury for your knees because your legs are able to move through a greater range without your muscles pulling on your knees in a nice way. And yeah, so all along the gamut, you might want to incorporate lunges into your personal practice. Okie dokie, let's switch it up. Notice the difference between how your legs feel right now. You might feel a little bit off balance, but that's good because that means that we made some change in that first leg and then we're going to balance it out. So switch your legs. I did grab the 3-minute timer this time, so I'll only flip it once. Toes point forward, hips are square. I'm gonna do the same variation that I did on the other side, so I'm pressing back into my calf to get a little bit of a calf stretch. If you want more of an engaging activating lunge, you might rise on up, engaging that calf, pressing the hips forward. And then of course you have the low lunge variation for the deeper hip opener, using the ground to help you open up that hip by bringing the knee to the ground. And then if you want something farther still, you might ground that opposite hand as the front leg and reach back around for your flying dragon, grabbing a hold of the ankle. Remember, wherever you choose, you want to choose somewhere that's sustainable for 3 minutes. Starting in 3, 2, 1, let's go. Remember that your mind is a powerful thing. It gets rewarded all day long for thinking and coming up with ideas and making lists and worrying about all of those things or thinking about all of those other things. The mind's meant to do that. It's like a racehorse that's meant to run around the track. So when your mind is going a mile a minute, you might imagine, okay, wow, my mind is quite strong. Maybe I'll bring it back to the breath when I first can without force. So bringing the mind back to the inhale and the exhale, not chastising it for doing what it's meant to do, what it's good at doing, Instead, bringing the mind back to the breath in the same way that you would invite a puppy to come back inside, or a, a child to pay attention. So encourage your mind back to the breath without force, without criticism. And then with time, uh, it'll be easier for your mind to concentrate on your breath. Exit out of your stretch. Notice if your legs feel any different now than they did before the start of class. And the next pose that we're going to do is a back bend, and then we're going to hang out in child's pose. We're going to do less time in the back bend than we will in child's pose. We're going to do 5 minutes in child's pose to help stretch and to the length of the back. And in our back bend, let's be there for, maybe we'll do 2 minutes in the back bend. 3 seems a little long, 1 seems a little short. Let's do 2. And you might get a blanket or a comforter to put over your mat, so that way it feels nice and comfortable. I'm going to show a few different options here. Let me change the camera angle a little bit. So with your back bend, option 1, especially if you have a back that might have a history of injuries, what you can do, you can lay on your belly and use your natural inhale to create a little bit of a back bend. So you might do 2 fists and place your fists in front of the forehead. You might do 2 palms and rest your forehead on the back of your hands, laying on the belly and letting the inhale create a natural space and a little bit of a back bend. Option 2 is going to be your Sphinx pose. So with Sphinx pose, you're going to bring your forearms and your hands to the ground. And then your elbows are going to be underneath your shoulders when you're laying on your belly. The more forward you bring your elbows, the less of a back bend it'll be. If your elbows are right underneath your shoulders, the more of a back bend it'll be. And I'm not going to have you hold an up dog or a high cobra for 2 minutes. You have an option for seal pose, which is a yin stretch with a much deeper back bend. It's similar to your cobra, but instead what you're going to do is from Sphinx pose, you're going to turn your hands out about 45 degrees, press down into the palms and rise up. So your hips are grounded. There's no pinching or nerve nonsense in the spine. So no pain. And then you're going to stay here using your arms as support. And that's seal. You can drop out of seal whenever you want. You might return to Sphinx, or after a minute and 30 seconds, you might try seal at the end. One thing that I like about the Sphinx option is you can move your head and neck, maybe do some neck circles, some stretches with the jaw, wiggle the jaw. There's more options that you have in the Sphinx pose to move around within the pose when you're in the pose. Whereas with seal, you're going to try and stay as still as you can using your breath to stretch from the inside of the pose to the outside of the pose. So let's start with our back bend of choice. You choose how much you back bend. Listen to your body. Don't do anything that hurts. And I'll count down. I'm going to show Sphinx pose for you. Laying on the belly, elbows underneath the shoulders, spreading the fingers, relaxing the shoulders down away from the ears. Starting in 3, 2, 1. We'll be here for 2 minutes. You're about 15 seconds into your second minute. Awesome. Press your hands down into the ground. Press yourself up. So whether you chose seal or sphinx, or you spent some deliciously grounding time laying on the belly, tuning in to the wave of your breath and how it affects your spine, I hope you enjoyed your back bend. And let's move into child's pose. So with child's pose, we have a few different options. With classic child's pose, you can bring toes together to touch, knees about mat width wide, and then walk the hands forward and fold, bringing the forehead down to the ground. Option 1. Option 2, if knees wide doesn't feel good for your hips, you can bring knees together, and then you might wrap the hands back towards the feet. And then if the knee bend and the ankles being pressed down to the ground doesn't feel good for your body, I have a few options as well for that. So you might use a towel or a blanket to create a little bit of a wedge between your calf and your thigh, like so, to give yourself a little bit more space in that knee joint. Oftentimes that'll take out the knee ouchies. And then if you have ankle ouchies, you might roll your blanket or your towel to create a blanket tube. And then from there, you can bring your ankles up onto the blanket tube with your toes on the ground, and then find a forward folding position. So you have some different options. And then of course, I do let students, if they have a lot of ankle pain and they want to tuck the toes and do something more stabilizing, pressing the feet into the ground when they're in their forward fold, they can do that also. And then if you can't fold forward in child's pose, you can find puppy instead, finding basically a half downward dog where the arms are forward, the spine is straight. Still finding that forward fold with a little bit of hip flexion, but in that position you have more space for belly, you have more space for the ankles, and it still allows you time to tune into your breath and withdraw those senses to focus on the yoga. Alrighty, we're going to be there for 5 minutes. That's why I show you all those options. I want you to find one that works well for you sustainably to be there for 5 minutes. Okay? I'm going to show traditional child's pose with knees about mat's width distance with the arms forward. Okay. All right, no questions, good. All right, let's begin. 3, 2, 1. start to press your hands down into the ground. Find a comfortable seat. We'll do one more pose on each side with a twist to stretch the outer hips. If you don't want to twist, you could do 2 minutes in Shavasana. We'll do a reclining twist with one knee drawing across and then the arms out wide. And then we'll switch to the other side. Okay? So find a comfortable spot on your mat. Choose which side you would like to start first. Then you'll draw one knee across the body, stacking the hips. Arms might stay on the chest. You might open the arms out wide. To deepen the outer hip stretch, you can extend the leg. And the more that you press the hips forward while drawing the leg up towards the ear, the deeper the stretch will be. Starting in 3, 2, 1. Especially in twists, allow your breath to naturally open you into the twist, allowing the inhale to broaden and open the shoulders, and the exhale to release the shoulders more into the ground. Draw both knees together towards your chest, allowing your back to relax down onto the earth. From here, let's find the second side, reaching the other knee across the body. Option to place the hands on the chest or to open the arms out wide. And you might extend the leg or keep the leg bent. Big breath in and a full breath out. When you feel ready, roll back onto your back. Draw your knees in and give yourself a huge hug. Roll over onto your side, press your hands down into the ground and rise up to a comfortable seat on your mat. Hands together in prayer, pray to your heart. We'll find 5 breaths in. On each breath, I want you to think of something that you are thankful for. It might be something that you took for granted or something that you remember having in the past, and even though you don't have it now, you're very thankful that it was in the past. And you might think of something that you are grateful for in the moment that you want to grow into something more in the future. For example, connection with family. Big breath in and a full breath out. 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 And last time, big breath in and a full breath out. Thank you all for being here today. I hope you had a marvelous Thanksgiving, and may you have a beautiful holiday season as well. Thank you. Namaste. Okay, lovelies. I know we didn't hit that Shavasana today, but that's because we have a half-hour meditation that starts at 7. So if you would like to join us for the half-hour meditation, please feel free to dim the lights, get yourself an extra sweater so you don't get cold, or socks for your feet, and I will be back momentarily with our meditation session.